C'est ça. Show me right. Sensei ni right. Donc ça. Am I? A gear. Right leg forward, left leg back. Straight leg stretch, each. Knee. So. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Two. Ju. Switch to the other side. Each. Knee. Son. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Coup. Ju. This. To the side. Each. Knee. Son. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Coup. Ju. Switch. Each. Knee. Son. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Coup. Ju. Left leg back. Each. Knee. Son. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Coup. Ju. Switch. Each. Knee. Son. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Coup. Ju. Trunk rolls. Relax your arms. Reach. Punch cross. Roll your shoulders back. Forward. Oops. I hate it when your favorite gi top goes from being your favorite gi top to your most ratty gi top. Takes about 15 years maybe for that to happen, but I don't know. Circle. So sad. Switch. and shake it out. All right, so we are going to do some basic sigh work today. So rotate your wrists, warm up our hands, switch directions. And extend. And extend. Down. Switch. Tricky ones. Grab. Twist. Do you know how to do this one? So turn your thumb toward you, away, toward me, down. Other one. Turn. And down. Last one, fingertips up, grab, pull in. Switch. These are stretches, but they're also, you know, like joint manipulation ideas. Well, it's pretty hard to get somebody in this particular position, you know, like against their will. All right, so grab your size. And like any short weapon, like the tonfas, right? So as a school, we're very familiar with the tonfas. Like any short weapon, they are good for protecting your forearms, like providing coverage against a weapon that would, you know, like slice through your arm or something like that. They're good for extending your reach, but in some ways, yeah, no, we didn't even see that. Oh, we'll go over that in 1 second. But in some ways, they don't really change very much of your movement, which has pros and cons to it. So to hold the sai, okay, let's put one down purposefully on the floor without dropping it. All right, so you have the sai, okay, and you have your hand. There's a couple things that you're going to use for pressure. You know how with the tombow we press down this way? So your finger, okay, your finger is going to be the, whoops, as I whack the camera. Your finger is going to be the thing that presses down on the sai to bring the sai up onto your forearm, okay? And I did that incorrectly. I put both fingers under here because I was focused on this. That's really not right. We want to only have the thumb underneath. That was kind of a lazy way of me doing that by accident. I know I moved the camera. Get the bob out of there, okay? All right, so that's one thing. And then when we open the sai, and use gravity, you always want to try to use gravity. So you're gonna open the sai like that. And then there's usually some kind of little, I have metal ones that actually have a little bump right there. And the bump on this one is kind of made by the crisscross of the material. And so I'm going to use my thumb there to put pressure on the sai and to help me hold it and secure it. Okay, so on the one side, it's your finger extended. When it flips and opens, it's going to be your thumb. Okay, so let's grab our other sai. We'll hook with the thumbs, put our fingers over the top, get our fingers like that. And all we're gonna do is start with just a vertical punch. And I'm gonna do my vertical punch just like I do a vertical punch, and I do my vertical punches on an angle. So I want you to try straight up, angled, and flat. Okay, there's different ways to do it. Well, there'll be one way that you like the best, but I want you to practice those three so you see the difference, okay? So super, super vertical, do like 10, really, really vertical, which means the sai is straight up and down. And you're holding, oops, I don't know if you can see that, holding like that, okay? Go. Straight up and down punches, go. pressing down with the finger, pressing up a little bit with the thumb, right? So that the weapon is secure in your hand, not wobbling around. See if you can have a little bit of awareness, like the sai is touching your forearm. Now let's turn it just a little, okay? So we're gonna turn it so that we have that solar plexus strike with a slight 45-degree angle. Now the downside I can see of this is if you do a complete pullback is that you're gonna grab your own ribs with the little pokey part. So like, don't do that. Make sure it goes back to vertical when it returns to your side. And your hands will become really super, super exhausted if you're always in a place of tension. So whenever you do weapon work, as much as I yell at people, you know, when we're doing bow, to hold on to the bow, hold on to the bow, hold on to the bow, right? There's a difference between holding on securely and gripping with a tight grip, right? There's a time and place for both. When you make impact, you want that tight grip. When you're in, unimportant is the wrong word, but when you're in other places, sometimes just the structure of a good hold is what you need. All right, so now we're gonna change it to, and now let's think about the difference between our snap and our thrust, right? Like, so a vertical punch is often a snap technique that goes out and comes back. Now let's do our strike like Kyokushin strike. Boom. You're gonna hold it out there, and you're gonna do a horizontal strike, and you're gonna really plan to hit with that tip. And in a minute, we're gonna switch that to this. We're gonna switch it, but for right now, we're gonna do a nice horizontal thrusting punch with the finger on top. All right, one more set of those. That's good. Okay, now come back and we're gonna practice opening and closing, okay? So we're gonna open and close. Open, close. Open so that your thumb is on the top. Close so that your finger is extended. Careful. All right. Open. Everybody do this for me. Go like this, and squeeze. Squeeze right down at the bottom, right there. So, so that you have that. You're gonna, and you don't squeeze tight, but that's the place where the sai is gonna rotate, okay, is between those two fingers. Thumb, your thumb is so important in this weapon. So you're gonna open, and then, so when you open, okay, right before you come back up, you're gonna stick your thumb across there to come back up, okay? Does that make sense, right? So you're gonna put your fingers to open, you're gonna put your fingers on the far side, and open. So you're gonna move your fingers, switch your fingers to the opposite side. It's kind of like when you like switch your hands, you know, like with a bow a little bit. There you go, now you're getting it. Good. You could do both at the same time. And if you've done these before, make these into downward blocks. If this is brand new, just work on the opening part. If it's not brand new, work on the down blocks and then really trying to have a nice straight, like strong grip and straight extension. Feel good on both sides, thumbs, boom. I'm gonna look in the mirror for a second. So Sai is not like Tombow, where like, I'm gonna have this like straight extension from my forearms. It's not gonna happen like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like with a Tombow, it's so connected to your wrist, it ends up being an absolute extension. Now, when we go like this, that's a different story. We're gonna be pretty straight with it. Okay, so let's do 50 opens and closes in a row. Okay, ready? Go. I'm about halfway there myself. Ten more. That one didn't count. 6, there we go. Hey, biceps. And if you didn't get 50, that's okay, all right? All right, put your size down. Shake it out. It's such a great example of how weapons add to your conditioning, right? The conditioning of your body. I'm stretching my bicep this way. I'm going like that. You may or may not have the flexibility to do it. Ugh. Okay. And the more we do it, the stronger we'll get. And up. Okay, now we need that opening skill so that we can go from closed to striking. So let's do our punch that we just did. And then you'll retract and open and strike. Punch, open, strike. Punch, pull back. And there's this kind of part of the motion of your body. Well, I'm not gonna, you know, that's maybe more advanced. I get my body out of the way though. I go like this, I go whoop, you know, like as it's turning. Not extensive, I guess, I don't know. You can do it right in front of your body. You could do it as part of the pullback. You could do it way back here, which is, I guess, happens more as a reverse punch. I think I'm babbling right now. Just shut up and go. All right, ready? Punch, open, spear. And I want the spear to be this way. You're gonna have your thumb pressing down, okay? It's gonna be extended out straight, okay? Yeah, like that, good. And go ahead and hold. Give yourself a second to evaluate the quality of the strike. So you can hold it out there for 2 or 3 seconds. And like anything, we want to get to the point where we don't really have to look at what we're doing, okay? But it's okay if you look, you know, like right now, that one I didn't have quite the right grip. All right, that one felt better. One of the mistakes we make early is to think about what we prefer by what feels good, right? I see it a lot with like blue belts, green belts, you know, like when I watch your katas, I could tell which katas you like and which ones you don't. And then later on, when you get better at it, nobody can tell which ones you like and which ones you don't. Except I grumble a lot about Godon, so you could tell I don't like Godon very much. So the reason I'm saying that is that you might make decisions right now on Sai based on what feels good and what doesn't, but your level of repetition isn't high enough. My level of repetition isn't high enough to make really sound decisions. All right, now switch to, and the reason I'm thinking this is, so now switch to a reverse. Same technique, but with a reverse. I like the transition and the strike better in the reverse because it feels better, right? But that's, like I said, that's just a mistake. I'm just not trained well enough on the other. Well, time will tell. Maybe it's a mistake, maybe it's not. Same technique, but from the back leg instead of the front leg. All right, one last time through that, with that. Okay, now let's take, we'll do it that way first. All right, so we're gonna use the Sai for blocking, okay? And we're gonna come across, don't hook yourself with these things, which actually is kind of uncommon. I don't think I really do that very often, but I always have it in my head that I'm gonna, all right? So come across, down block, shuffle, shuffle, down block. And like with the bow, right, you want that fat part of your hand behind the striking force. So you need to turn a little bit so that the finger is behind the block, okay? Now, not a huge fan of blocking, right? Because your hand is on the other side of this, right? I kind of think that sides are a little bit more of an offensive weapon, right? Because this is super, if somebody smacks, if you get hit this, then it's gonna fall, right? So you've got to be doing the blocking either here or here. This is such a teeny tiny little space, right? So it's possible, but just remember that there's pros and cons to every weapon. Aha! Aha! I hooked my gi! I did it! I hooked my gi with the little hooky part. Okay, so pros and cons. Pros and cons to everything. Tighten up the gi. You're just doing a downward block. Turn outward a little bit. Turn. Yep. One more time. All right, good. Did anybody else log that in your brain, like good empty hand, good with a bow, bad idea for Sai? That's how I logged it in my brain. So, however, the reason I wanted us to do that is because the other night we were practicing some X blocks with a parry that go that way. I was really just trying to get you to do the stance, okay? So, an X block that comes up, so weapons coming in. X block, thumbs behind, goes out. And then parry, so the weapon is in between, parry to the side, okay? So X block comes out, parry to the straight leg side. X block, parry. And my natural instinct is to keep, if I'm gonna parry to the right, my right hand is closest to my face, is closest to the inside. Oh, I'm feeling that. I have lotion on my hands. It's getting slippery. Okay. All right, so up. And now remember, don't go up this way because you won't have any muscle behind it. Go up and out and then down. Okay? Not just straight up. You want to be up and out and then down. Up and out and then down. And then one, this will fit, if you've ever sharpened a big knife, this will feel, the side's gonna slide off the other one like you're sharpening a knife, okay? One more time. Try to get some more repetitions in. All right, now let's take a couple of combinations that we're familiar with, right, as a part of our basic movement, and then add the psi into it, right? So you're taking something you're comfortable with and adding something less familiar. So let's take our rising block, right? But here's the thing about the psi, is that the one thing that the psi has that very few other weapons have is the ability to hook. And actually, we just don't use it enough on the tonfa. My hope is that when we get more comfortable with this, that we'll start thinking about our tonfas a little bit more like that way and flipping them over and using that hook, okay? So a rising block, so think the disadvantage of a rising block with a psi is that your fingers are here. But the advantage is if you can do the block down here, you can then slide down and disarm or relocate whatever it is you're blocking against, right? So we're gonna add a parry to something familiar. So something familiar is rising block punch. We're gonna add a parry, so we're gonna go rising block, parry, punch. All right, and then we'll add a spear instead. But we're gonna start with rising block, parry, punch with the blunt end. Okay, and we're still moving our bodies side to side like we have done for the last couple moves, okay? So rising block, slide it down, parry, reverse punch. Not like this, Clinton. Turn that over so that your finger is pressing down when you do the strike, okay? So rising block, parry, vertical punch, okay? Go. Now add the spear. So start all the same. Rising block, punch, retract, spear. Rising block, parry, punch, spear. Oops. Try not to be so bouncy. One more time. Okay, now let's take a section of Seisson that we're really familiar with, and we're gonna modify it to the sai. And so in Seisson, when we do the ridge hand, shuto, grab, pull, we're gonna let the sai do the grab for us, and we're gonna do a smack to the side. So like you're gonna hit them across the cheek. You're not going for a blade, you're not going for a poke, you're just really coming with this flat side of the sai, but you're, can you imagine how awful that would be? I mean, like 10 times worse than a back fist, right? Because the metal is just gonna be so destructive across the face. So instead of a back fist, even though we're doing ridge hand here, right? So we're gonna go punch, open, hook, pull back. Actually, I don't think there's even a punch in it. So just open, hook, pull. Open, hook, pull. So come across. And now think about where the strike is so that the thumb has to be on the opposite side of the smack, right? So it's gonna be, your hand's gonna be vertical this time. Make sense? Okay, go. I kind of like it with the punch because it just gives a little momentum to the thing, but I'm sort of trying it with both. That's a place where just it's my inexperience that's keeping this from feeling comfortable. So I want to add something that makes me feel better, right? My own mistake. I think I need to use my stepping a little bit more to my advantage so that crescent step works in conjunction with the open, right? So as you bring your hips across, use that realignment into your stance to do the opening for you. Such fun doing new things. One more time. Okay, now we've been playing around with sai and seisson, kata. How'd that feel? Was that good? Was that a good smack? Did you just hit something with it? All right. And my very favorite move is whew, up under the chin. I just think it's brutal and awful, and I think it's cool. So we're gonna come up and use your T stance. Boom, up. Just as an enjoyable finish to the class. Step in, flip, up, diagonally, through the chin, and the far side of the brain. It feels very Three Musketeers. D'Artagnan! All for one. One for all. 5 more. 5 more good ones. 5 or 6 more. 6 if you have to be balanced. Ha! Good job. All right. Keep your size. Ready? So in, out, bow. Nice job today.